At the beginning of the movie, Karta, Rajat, and Wati are playing together. As dusk falls, Wati urges them to head home. The boys ask to stay a bit longer, but Wati admits she's afraid of ghosts. They dismiss it as mere superstition, so she leaves on her own. Rajat then strikes a stick, sending it flying into the forest. Karta goes to retrieve it and finds it just as it falls into a small ditch. Meanwhile, Wati hears someone singing in the distance, grows uneasy, and is suddenly dragged away by an unseen force. At the same time, as Karta reaches into the ditch to grab the stick, a hand suddenly seizes his. When he pulls back, one of his fingers is missing, and he screams in terror. 30 years later, we are introduced to Saman and Adi, who are taking a shortcut to school. Along the way, Adi accidentally bumps into Karta and falls. Saman helps him up, begs Karta not to hurt them, and they run away in fear. When they reach school, their teacher, Miss Wurrow, scolds them for being late yet again. She tells them to go to class and warns they'll stay back for detention later. During detention, their classmate Ayu teases Saman. Miss Wurrow gifts Ayu a pen, as she is her favorite student. While leaving, Ayu tells Saman that her father has been looking for him. The scene then cuts to Ayu's father, Mardo, scolding Saman for failing to deliver honey as promised. He warns that he'll complain to Saman's brother Samion, who works hard to support him and their ailing grandmother. Saman pleads with him not to tell his brother. Ayu gets ready to deliver food, and her father warns her to return before dusk. Later, on their way home, Adi tells Saman he doesn't like going through the forest because of a rock where, according to locals, Mr. Karta lost his finger. Only then does he realize he's alone. Frightened, he calls out for Saman. Suddenly, a terrifying figure appears behind him, slowly approaching. Just then, Saman startles him from behind, laughing. He tells Adi that ghosts don't exist and not to believe in superstitions. Meanwhile, Ayu arrives at Karta's house to deliver food. She knocks and opens the door, but suddenly, Karta grabs her hand and warns her to go home as it's almost dusk. Later that night, Saman is seen trying to feed his bedridden grandmother, when the door suddenly creaks open on its own. Startled, he relaxes only after seeing his brother Samion walk in. Samion notices the honey bottles still lying around and asks why they haven't been delivered. Saman replies that he forgot and promises to take them to Mardo's shop tomorrow. Furious, Samion scolds him, saying he had just one task and still failed to do it. He slaps Saman and their grandma starts crying. Samion then grabs his bag and warns Saman that if the bottles are still there when he returns, he'll beat him even more severely. As Samion leaves, Saman feels like he just saw someone, but when he turns to look, no one is there. The next day, Saman is late for school again, and instead of taking the honey bottle to Mardo's shop, he takes it with him to school. After class, he pleads with Miss Wurrow to let him deliver the honey, saying his brother will be furious if he doesn't, but she refuses. She tells him to let his brother know what kind of student he is, and insists that they're not leaving until the restrooms are cleaned. That evening, we see Adi and Saman heading to Jatapini to watch the Wayang show. Adi suggests they should pray first, but Saman says they'll be late and insists they can pray at the Jatapini mosque. As they leave, Saman suddenly remembers he left the honey bottle near the school restrooms. On the way, while talking about how mean Miss Wurrow is, Saman says he wishes she were dead. Just then, the truck's tire bursts, and Saman sees a figure by the roadside. Meanwhile, Miss Wurrow is at home and notices her front door is open. She shuts it firmly. Later, she hears a knock and is shocked to find the door open again. Cautiously, she moves forward and looks around, but finds no one. She then locks the door. However, as she turns back, the door creaks open once more. Now terrified, she slowly steps forward to check. She senses someone approaching from behind. A dark entity briefly appears behind her, but when she turns, the door slams shut and the entity haunts her. Terrified, Wurrow tries to flee but falls. Crying in fear, she is haunted, possessed, and ultimately killed by the entity. While the driver and Adi are repairing the truck, Nyoto and Mantri arrive and inform them that they are heading to Jatijajar because Miss Wurrow has passed away. The next morning, Wurrow's funeral takes place, attended by the entire village. Saman sits among them, shocked and fearful, as he had only wished for her death. Suddenly, Wuro's ghost terrifies him. Later, as the villagers load Wuro's coffin into the ambulance, Saman lingers for a final look. He's horrified to find the coffin empty, with the villagers eerily smiling at him. Suddenly, Wuro's ghost appears, and he jolts awake, realizing it was all a nightmare. Later, Adi visits Saman and mentions he hasn't seen him since the gathering. Saman replies that he hasn't been feeling well. Adi then tells him that Miss Wuro's replacement is arriving tomorrow, and she's rumored to be young and pretty. Noticing Saman's silence, he adds that he still thinks about what they said about Miss Wuro that night. With that, he leaves. That evening, Saman senses a presence outside. He cautiously looks through the window, but sees no one. Then he notices his grandmother staring fearfully in one direction. He asks her, "What is it? Is it a ghost?" She nods silently. Just then, the front door creaks open on its own. She gestures toward the bed, and Saman nervously checks underneath, but finds nothing. As he gets up, he feels something outside the window. Suddenly, Wuro's ghost appears, terrifying him. Shaken, he rushes to wash his face. He senses someone behind him, but when he turns around, no one is there. As he turns back, an entity emerges from the water pot. Horrified, he watches as the entity possesses him, just as the door slams shut and he screams. Meanwhile, Ayu's father tells her to come along to meet the new teacher, Miss Ningsai. The village chief, Dul Rohim, warmly welcomes Ningsai and introduces himself. He then introduces her to his wife, their security guard Amin, and finally to Marto. Ningsai apologizes for arriving late, explaining that she got lost and ended up in another village. Marto then introduces Ayu as one of the students in her class. From a distance, Karda is seen watching them. The next morning, Adi arrives late to class, but Miss Ningsai lets him in without scolding him. Meanwhile, Samian returns to the village and visits Marto to collect the money from the honey sales. Marto informs him that he hasn't received any honey yet. Hearing this, Samiun becomes furious. He storms home and starts beating Saman for not delivering the honey, shouting, "What do you want?" Saman replies, "I want you dead." Enraged, Samiun yells at him again, when suddenly he sees an entity behind Saman. Saman stares at him with a chilling expression as the entity floats towards Samiun and possesses him. Saman grabs a knife and repeatedly stabs his brother in front of their horrified grandmother. After brutally killing him, he walks out of the house as the door slams shut behind him. Later that night, Karda is seen hanging a talisman outside Saman's house. The next day, when Marto opens his shop, he and Ayu are shocked to find Saman banging his head against a cupboard. When Marto asks what he's doing, Saman silently hands him honey bottles. But as Marto checks them, he recoils in horror. The bottles are filled with blood. Saman then runs off. Meanwhile, the village chief, Dul Rohim, is stunned to find all his chickens slaughtered and hanging outside his home. Later at school, Ayu sees Miss Wuro standing at the entrance. Just then, a classmate tells her to head to class, and when she looks back, Wuro is gone. While in class, Ayu drops her pen. As she bends down to pick it up, she's startled by something she sees. Gathering her courage, she tries again, and this time sees Miss Wuro's ghost approaching, whispering Saman's name. Ayu quickly looks back, but there's no one there. Suddenly, Wuro's ghost haunts her, terrifying her. After school, Ayu returns home and finds her father with Dul Rohim and Amin. He is telling them about the morning's incident, and Rohim adds that all his chickens were found dead. They decide to check on Sama. At Saman's house, Marto notices an amulet hanging there. Inside, they're horrified to find Samian's dead body. Just then, Adi and Ayu arrive and witness the gruesome scene. Shocked, Adi runs off. Ayu urges Amin to follow him. Adi spots Saman standing in the river and approaches him. Ayu and Amin also reach there. Saman appears possessed. When Adi calls out to him, Saman turns and snaps out of the possession. Adi rushes to his side, asking if he's okay. They bring Saman to the chief's house, where Adi notices he's quietly humming something. Miss Ningsai arrives, and Rohim explains that Saman hasn't spoken a word since he was found. He is just humming. He believes Saman's soul is troubled. They've contacted the police, who will soon take him to the district. Ningsai asks for some time alone with Saman, believing she can get him to talk. With Rohim's permission, she goes inside. Adi tries to follow, but Amin and the others stop him. From a distance, Karda is seen watching everything silently. Ningsai soon comes back out and tells Rohim that she tried but Saman wouldn't respond. That evening, Saman is seen sitting and humming to himself. He stops abruptly, spotting Samian standing ahead facing away. Without warning, Samian's neck twists toward him. Terrified, Saman is haunted by Wuro's ghost, who tells him to leave. Later, the police arrive in the village and are shocked to find that Saman has taken his own life by hanging.
You're still watching? Good. Like, comment and subscribe to Recapss Horror.
His funeral is held, and Adi is devastated by his death. The next day at school, Ningsai notices Adi looking downcast and tries to talk to him. She gently tells him that speaking about his feelings might help him cope with the sadness. She offers a listening ear if he ever needs someone to talk to. She also reminds him to start attending extra classes that day, as exams are approaching, and his grades are quite low. That evening, the school guard hands her the keys, and she tells him she'll walk Adi home herself. As he leaves, she tells Adi that she's going to pray in her room and asks about him. Adi replies that he'll pray in the classroom. Later, Adi prays alone in the classroom when he senses a presence behind him and hears a whispered amen. Frightened, he hurriedly begins packing his bag. Just then, the door creaks open on its own. He cautiously steps forward to check, but a chair suddenly hurls against the wall. He bolts from the classroom. He hears a noise behind him and turns to find Saman sweeping the floor. Suddenly, Saman drops the broom and turns to face him. Slowly, he walks toward Adi, pleading for help. Adi is gripped with fear, and as Saman gets closer, Adi becomes possessed. The next morning, Adi's father Kaysen finds him banging his head against the wall. Adi appears possessed, but when he turns around, he seems normal and casually says he's just sleepy. Kaysen tells him to wash his face and come for prayers. As he walks away, Adi is seen possessed again. Later, when Kaysen steps outside, he spots Karda there, who quickly runs off upon being seen, and an amulet is noticed hanging outside their house. The following day at school, as the class empties, Ayu notices Adi still sitting at his desk. Concerned, she asks if he's okay, but he remains silent. As she steps out of the classroom, her pen falls. When she bends down to pick it up, Wuro's ghost suddenly appears, screaming Adi's name, terrifying her. She rushes back to the class, only to find Adi gone. Determined, she sets out to find him and Karda comes to her, following her. That evening, a young boy named Bondan is seen playing outside when Adi, seemingly possessed, calls out to him from a distance, inviting him to play. Bondan walks toward him. The scene cuts to the villagers searching for Bondan and Adi, both now missing. Despite searching through the night, they are nowhere to be found. The next day, Ningsai instructs the students to go straight home after school and to pray once they arrive, so that Bondan and Adi can be found soon. After school, Ayu approaches Ningsai and asks if she received anything yesterday. Ningsai asks what she means. Ayu then hands her an amulet, explaining that it's meant to protect her from evil spirits. Surprised, Ningsai asks where she got it from, then tells Ayu to go home and walks away. That evening, everyone in the village begins taking their children inside as fear spreads throughout the community. Despite the tense atmosphere, Ayu prepares to go to the mosque for prayer. Marto tries to stop her, but she insists, saying she wants to pray for Adi and Bondan's safe return. Meanwhile, Rohim tells Imam he doesn't think anyone else will come to the mosque. Imam replies that this is a test of faith, and during times like these, they must stay even closer to God. Elsewhere, Ayu finds Adi sitting in the middle of the road. At the same time, when Rohim beats the drum, he notices the sound is off and sees blood dripping from it. Horrified, he discovers a dead body inside and informs Imam. Meanwhile, Ayu calls out to Adi. He gets up, holding a dead animal and a sickle. When he turns to face her, Ayu is terrified to see that he's possessed. Suddenly, he charges at her and she runs away, screaming for help. Rohim's wife sees Adi chasing Ayu and quickly calls Ayu into her home, shutting the door behind her. Adi attempts to attack. Then Rohim's wife remembers she hasn't locked the back door. As she rushes to close it, Adi barges in and starts approaching Ayu while humming a tune. Just as he is about to attack, Amin appears and knocks him out. Later, as Marto waits for Ayu to return, he hears a noise. When he goes to investigate, he finds a dead body. Upon checking, he is horrified to discover it's Saman. Elsewhere, villagers have restrained Adi, who is still possessed and screaming wildly. Ningsai is present as Imam attempts to exorcise him by reciting prayers. Soon, Adi calms down and vomits a black liquid. Meanwhile, Karta is seen in his hut crafting an amulet using black magic. Back in the village, Rohim tells Kasan that Adi must have been possessed. Amin adds that when Bondan briefly regained consciousness, he revealed that Adi had taken him to Saman's grave, dug up the body, and placed it at Marto's house. Rohim insists that something evil is controlling Adi. Just then, Kasan reveals that he caught Karta placing an amulet outside his house at dawn the previous day. Marto confirms he saw a similar amulet at Saman's house. Ningsai urges everyone not to jump to conclusions without solid evidence. However, a villager argues that Amin and Marto's statements are strong proof and that they should find Karta and make him confess. They arrive at Karta's house and drag him outside. Kasan holds up the amulet and demands, "What is this?" Karta warns them, saying they're all under a spell. But before he can explain further, the villagers turn on him and begin beating him mercilessly. Marto and Rohim rush in, trying to stop the mob. The next day, Ayu tells Marto that she's certain Karta didn't do anything wrong. Marto replies, "Let's leave it to the village chief and the authorities." As he leaves, Ayu hears someone whisper her name. Just then, Ningsai arrives. It's clear from Ayu's expression that she is afraid of her. Ningsai tells Ayu she heard what happened to her the previous night, and casually mentions that she visited Karta's place as well. Then she asks, "Do you visit him often?" A flashback reveals that Ayu had gone to Karta, and he had made her an amulet to give to Ningsai. He warned her that the red sky was a sign, and the air felt exactly as it did 30 years ago. If his instincts are right, Ningsai is a jinn, the Black Mother, something ancient and evil that preys on children. He told Ayu to give her the amulet. If she reacted, it meant danger. He would then find a way to drive her out, saying she must have a reason for coming back. In the present, Ningsai sits beside Ayu and tells her she remembers Karta, his face as a boy, and that he looked like her. Ayu nervously shows her the amulet, but instead of being afraid, Ningsai grabs it and smiles. Ayu is stunned by her reaction. Just then, Miss Wuro's ghost appears. Ningsai asks, "Were you her favorite student?" She calls Ayu lucky, but warns her to stay out of this. Her turn will come, just like her friends. In a flashback, we see Ningsai urging Saman to take his own life, revealing a glimpse of her true, sinister form. She was there, smiling eerily during Adi's exorcism, and again when Karta was being beaten. Back in the present, she laughs in Ayu's face and calmly walks out of the room. Meanwhile, Karta recalls the night from 30 years ago, when the villagers found him and nearby. They also discovered Rajat's dead body. In the present, Ayu visits Karta and urgently tells him that Adi is in danger, and they need to save him. Karta asks how she knows, and she replies that she received a message from Miss Wuro. Elsewhere, Kasan tells Adi to come pray with him. After Kasan leaves, we see Adi possessed, smiling eerily. Back with Karta, he's shaken by the mosque prayers. They echo the moment his childhood trauma began. Ayu gently calms him down, reminding him that prayers and God are not his enemies. Karta then knocks Amin unconscious and tells Ayu to go save Adi, and he'll deal with her teacher. Ayu rushes to Adi's house and informs his father that Adi is in danger. His father, trying to stay calm, goes to check, but Adi is missing. Ayu immediately runs from the house. Meanwhile, Karta sneaks into Ningsai's home and sees an old woman inside, who then transforms into Ningsai. She rises slowly and says, "I still remember how sweet your finger tasted." Then comes the shocking revelation. Ningsai is actually Wadi. She asks, "Have you forgotten me?" In a flashback, we see Wadi in the forest. She regains consciousness and sees a jinn levitating in the air, holding Rajat's lifeless body. The jinn takes control of her, tosses Rajat's body aside, and Wati, now under its influence, reaches out, holding the jinn's hand, and smiles. Back in the present, she taunts Karta, mocking, "You want to fight me with a missing finger?" Terrified, Karta curses her and tells her to leave. The jinn reveals its true form and hurls him away with its powers. Karta realizes he must destroy the lair. Meanwhile, Addie is seen wandering through the forest, heading toward the river. Karta reaches the lair with petrol and a lamp. He pours the fuel, ready to set it ablaze, but the lamp suddenly goes out. Just then, Wati's ghost yells, "Go home." Frightened, Karta stumbles back, only to be confronted by Rajat's ghost. At the same time, Addie is seen moving towards Jinn, but Ayu arrives just in time and tries to stop him. Rajat's ghost eerily asks Karta, "Don't you want to play with me again?" Karta says, "Sorry," and sets the lair on fire. Rajat screams and vanishes. As the jinn closes in on Addie, Karta begins to pray. The jinn recoils and flies away into the night. Ayu reaches Addie, who collapses unconscious. Kaysen arrives and tries to wake him. The scene cuts to another village. A child is seen playing near a river at dusk when he hears a haunting song. He turns and sees the jinn standing in the distance. Suddenly, the child gets possessed, and the film ends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.